for me, faith and commitment start with deliberate decisions. It feels like the word Christian has been taken on some other flavors lately, political and so on. And so sometimes I prefer the phrase Jesus follower.
I now believe that it is as simple as loving the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and your mind, and loving your neighbor. This is a much simpler view than I used to have, but it's a theme that has emerged as I reflect on my spiritual experiences and also as I've done a lot of wrestling in the last year.
And following that in the way of Jesus means to live cooperating with God's redemptive work in the world, working for healing and hope and wholeness for all people and all of creation.
There is this joy, the fullness of joy that you feel when you give thanks to Him first. There's also the peace you feel when you are in need and you give it up to Him.
And I know a lot of us are anxious and worried about various things. And lately in the secular world, they talk a lot about gratitude and how a gratitude practice is really important. But this was always there in the Bible. In Philippians 4, verse 6, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." So it talks both about prayer as well as gratitude. And I think those are really important.
It can really help in times of struggle, whenever you need to have that affirmation that God will always be with you no matter what situation that you're going through. Having that, it can help boost your faith. It can help just understand who God is and know that He'll always be with you wherever you go, like He said.
I feel like I've met Jesus many times. I mean, obviously, in hindsight, He's always been there, but I've met Him many times in my life, depending on who I was when I reached out.
The journey is tough, but lighter when God is always and will ever remain faithful.
Being in contact with other Christians has helped me grow in faith all my life.
And I see families raising their children up in church, and I hope that, I don't know if those people who it's so much a part of who they are and they don't know any different, that they know that you can't go back and put that foundation under a person.
I am now 90 years old, but I will always need and appreciate the encouragement of fellow believers in my life. That is what being part of a congregation is about.
I feel so glad that I get to call the Mennonite Church my home, and I feel like when we work together, we can really show the world what it means to do those two commandments.
I really value being part of a local church community where every week we come together and we are symbols of God's care for each other. And we pay attention to what God is doing in the world, and we remember that we are part of a larger story. No matter what is going on in our world or in our lives, that God is still at work making all things new.
And I'm really happy to be a member here at Ridgeway Mennonite, where I think we are really making a serious effort to be faithful to Jesus.
I appreciate Ridgeway's leaders and the congregation for being there for me all these years throughout the many changes. I'm thankful to God for Ridgeway, past and present, my family.